श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ओं सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करं सदात्मध्याननिरतं विषयेभ्यः पराङ्मुखं नौमि शास्त्रेषु निष्णातं चन्द्रशेखरभारतीम् ॐ. In the previous class, we had completed the commentary to verse number 14. And now we can take a look at verse number 15. Page 12, verse 15. Ato vicharah kartavyah jigyasoho atmavastunah samasadya dayasindhum gurum brahmaviduttamam. If we look at the logical flow of the verses, verse number 15 appears to be a logical flow from verse 13. Because the topic of vichara is what is concluded with this verse number 15. In verse number 14, for example, we had done a short detour to look at sadhana chatushtaya sampatti. But if you look at the sequence of logical flow, it appears that verse number 13 and verse number 15 can flow better together, and verse number 14 connects better with verse number 16. So even though the sequence is 13, 14, 15, from a logical flow point of view, 13 and 15 seem to go together, and with verse number 15 the topic of jnanam and vicharaha is completed. So in verse number 13, for example, Acharya had said arthasya nishchayo drishto vicharena hitoktitah na snanena na danena pranayama shatena va. That is, the certainty about any object you can get from vichara and from the teaching of a guru who has our best interests in his heart. So that was what had been said in verse number 13. In verse number 15, what Acharya is saying, Ato vicharaha kartavyah. Therefore, one must perform inquiry. Who? Jigyasoho. The one who desires to know. Desires to know what? Atma vastunaha. One who desires to know about the reality of the self. They must perform inquiry, Atma Vichara, to understand it. And how should one do that inquiry? Here Acharya says you cannot independently do the inquiry. It has to be Gurum Samasadya. The word Guru means somebody who imparts knowledge. The word Guru comes from Granati Atma Tattvam Upadashati iti Guruhu. So Gr, that root, means to teach, to communicate, to impart the knowledge. And therefore, Guru means the person who imparts knowledge. Another meaning is that the word Guru comprises of Gu, and Gu means darkness, and Ru means remover. So Guru means the one who removes the darkness of ignorance. There is a verse, Gukaro Andakaro Vai Rakara Tannivartakaha Andakara Nivartitvat Guru Rityabhidiyate. The letter Gu means Andhakaraha or darkness, and the Ru means the Nivartakaha or the remover of that knowledge, of that darkness, and therefore the Guru is the remover of the darkness of ignorance and the imparter, the teacher of the knowledge. So both meanings essentially amount to the same thing. So the essence is that the teaching has to be imparted by a guru. One cannot independently gain it by a self-study of the scriptures. As the Chandogya Upanishad says, Acharyavan Purusho Veda, the Mundaka Upanishad says, Tad Vijnanartham sa Gurumeva Vigachet. One must necessarily approach the guru, and one cannot independently study that. And here, Adi Shankaracharya Bhagavad is giving two qualifiers or adjectives for what a guru is. And that is Brahmaviduttamam and Dayasindham. So Brahmaviduttamam means the greatest knower of Brahman, greatest knower of the self. And Dayasindhu means he who is an ocean of compassion. So he is someone who has himself realized the truth, abides in the truth, and is a living example of the truth. And not only is he that, he's an ocean of compassion, meaning that when he sees his disciples are struggling in the hell of samsara, he is moved by their plight and automatically is ready to teach them. Now, he will not teach them without them approaching him and specifically requesting for Atmajnana, but if they do, and provided that he sees that they have qualifications, the Guru is bound to convey that Atmajnana. He has no choice but to convey it. If the right student comes and the Guru and approaches the Guru with the right attitude and seeks Atmajnana, the Guru is duty bound to teach it. And he doesn't do it out of a sense of duty, he does it out of a sense of compassion, because he knows that the consciousness that is pervading him is the same consciousness that is pervading the disciple also. It is just the one consciousness. The differences of Guru and Shishya are only apparent differences on account of Upadhi. Really speaking, there are no differences at all. Therefore, the Atma of the Guru and the Atma of the Shishya are the same. Just like when our finger is hurt, we seek to solve the problem. We don't look at a finger and say, oh, I don't care about this, this is something else. Even though really speaking, it is something else. It is anatma, but we still treat it as what? My finger. And we rush to solve it. Similarly, the Guru and the Shishya who are apparently different are actually the same. So, where we rush to put bandage on our cut finger, confusing the anatma for the atma, the Guru teaches the Atma Vidya to the Shishya, knowing that the Atma of the Shishya is the same as the Atma of the Guru. So he does it out of knowledge, that compassion is born out of knowledge, whereas our desire for self protection is born out of ignorance. That is the big difference between the Ajnani and the Jnani. So, with that, we will start reading the text of the Vyakhya by Jagadguru Srimad Chandrasekhara Bharati Mahaswamihal. And it says, Ataha Sarvanartha Nivartaka Nirnaya Hetutvat Jigyasoho Atmanam Samyak Gyatumichoho Purushasya Atmavastunaha Vicharaha Kartavyaha. Therefore, because the inquiry is the means for the cessation of all forms of evil, the source of all evil in samsara, such as sorrow, fear, anger, desire, hatred, all of that, the root cause is ignorance. And because Atma Vichara is the means by which one gains Atma Jnana, and Atma Jnana is the means by which one overcomes that ignorance, one removes that ignorance, Jigyasoho. And he defines Jigyasoho as those people who want to have the correct knowledge of the self. Samyak Gyatumichoho. The ones who want to have the right knowledge of what? Atmanam, of themselves. And those people, they must perform self-inquiry. Atmavastunaha vicharaha kartavyaha. Avashyam kartavyaha. They must certainly perform the inquiry about themselves so that they get the Atma Jnana by which they can remove the Sarvanartha Hetu, the cause for all forms of evil, ignorance. Tatra iti kartavyatamaha dayasindhum swayam kritarthatvena swasya prayojanabhava eva itarepi ma dukkham anubhuvan iti karunayaha samudram adharamityarthaha jalarashirava jalanam gurum gushabdaha tu andhakarasya rushabdah stan nirodhakah andhakara nirodhitvat गुरुरित्यभिधीयते इति गुरुगीता उक्तरीत्या स्व उपदेशेन अज्ञानाख्य हार्दान्धकार हारकम् इत्यर्थः. So how should that inquiry be performed? the way it should be performed is what is referred to in Purva Mimamsa as iti kartavyata. So not just for inquiry, any ritual in Purva Mimamsa, the exact prayogam or the way in which something should be done is referred to as iti kartavyata. So Jagadguru Srimad Chandrasekhara Bharati Mahaswamigal is saying, in this case, the way that enquiry must be performed is being described by Adi Shankara Bhagavatpada in this verse. Tatra iti kartavyatam aha. And here what he means is that the student must approach a guru. And what kind of a guru? Daya Sindhu. One who is an ocean of compassion. And why is he being referred to as an ocean of compassion? He gives an explanation. Swayam kritarthatvena swasya prayojanabhava siddha eva. The guru, having attained whatever is to be attained, he is a kritartha. There is nothing else for him to do anymore. So he can simply keep quiet. He need not actually involve himself in the world at all. The only reason he is doing these things is for our benefit, for the benefit of ajnanis, and therefore swayam kritartatvena swasya prayojanabhava siddha eva. It is known that he has nothing else to do. He knows it. But itarepi ma dukkham anubhuvan iti karunayaha samudra. The only reason he is engaging with the world and he is doing that upadesha is so that other people who are suffering from samsara, may them not experience dukkha, dukkha ma anubhuyan. Let them not suffer from samsara, and with that desire to solely engage in activity for others' benefits is why he is being referred to as a daya sindhu, karunayaha samudram. So, by the word karunayaha samudram means daya sindhu, and essentially what it means here is that he is the receptacle or the locus of the compassion for others. And here he is being compared to an ocean because the ocean is the receptacle or the locus of a vast amount of water. Similarly, the guru here is the locus of a vast amount of compassion. And he is referred to as a guru. And we looked at this verse previously from the Guru Gita. Gushabdaha tu andhakarasyat rushabdas tan nirodhakaha. The letter gu refers to the andhakara or darkness. The letter ru indicates the nivartakatvam, the one who is instrumental in removing the ignorance in the minds of his devotees. Andhakara nirodhitvat guruhu ityabhidiyate. Because he removes andhakara or darkness of ignorance from the minds of his devotees, he is called guruhu. Iti Guru Gita Uktaritya Swopadeshena Ajnanakhya Hardandhakara Harakam Ityarthaha. So, based on this Guru Gita verse, in this manner, by his Upadesha, Swopadeshena Ajnanakhya Hardandhakara Harakam Ityarthaha. The darkness of ignorance, he is the one which is located in the heart of the devotees. Heart meaning the mind. In Vedanta, the locus of the mind is the heart. So, Hardandhakara means the ignorance that is located in the minds of his devotees is removed by the Guru in the like how it has been described in the Guru Gita. So, why is darkness called Andhakaram? Acharya explains, Yathandhakaraha prapancham avritya tad jnana pratibandhako bhavati evam ajnanam atmanam avritya tat spashtabhana pratibandhakam bhavati iti andhakaratvam ajnanasya. Just like ignorance, rather just like darkness covers the objects in the world and prevents those objects from being known, similarly, ajnanam or ignorance covers the self, atmanam avritya. The avaranam means it is a veil or a covering of the self. So in Advaita, Ajnanam is not the absence of knowledge. Ajnanam is a covering of the self, is something which obscures the self. Evam ajnanam atmanam avritya tat spashtabhana pratibandhakam bhavati. It acts as a pratibandhakam or an obstacle for the clear perception of the self. As we will see, the self is swaprakasham or self-luminous. That is, in its natural state, it is self-evident, it is always known. But because of the pratibandhakam or the obstruction of ignorance, one does not perceive the self. One does not clearly know that what one is the self. The true nature of the self is not revealed to us. That it is all pervading consciousness which is of the nature of supreme bliss. That knowledge is not apparent to us because of the presence of ignorance. Now, just like a lamp which has been covered by a veil, the light of the lamp will not be visible for so long as the veil is there. Similarly, for so long as the veil of ignorance is obstructing the self, the clear knowledge of the self, the clear understanding of what the self is truly will not be there. अतएव तम इत्यादि शब्दैः अभिलापश्रुतौ तमोह्यासीत् तमसा गुणमग्रे इत्यादौ. That is why the equation of darkness with ignorance has a Shruti backing also. There is a Shruti Pramana wherein darkness has been compared to ignorance. So, for example, in the Nasadiya Suktam of the Rig Veda, which is quoted here, Tamohyasi Tamasa Gunamagre, where it is said that darkness alone was present, covered in darkness in the beginning. Here, the darkness refers to the primary ignorance, the primal ignorance, the Atma's ignorance of its own nature, which in Advaita is the basis for the creation of the entire universe. The appearance of the universe, the division of that one indivisible self into the Jiva, Ishvara, and the world, all of that is on the basis of that one ignorance, which ignorance in the Shastra has traditionally been equated with darkness. So when you say equated, we are referring to ignorance figuratively as darkness. Therefore, when we say Guru, the word Ru is referring to the removal or the destruction of Gu, Andhakaram, and that Andhakaram is essentially the same as this ignorance, Ajnana. एतद् विशेषणद्वयं यत्र सम्भवति तमाह ब्रह्मविदुत्तमम् इति. So where these two qualities, that he is a knower of Brahman, a Brahmavit, and he is a Daya Sindhu, he is an ocean of compassion, where those two qualities exist, such an individual is called Brahmaviduttamaha. Brahma vidanti iri Brahmavidaha tesham uttamam sthitapragyam ityarthaha. That is, the knower of Brahman is who is referred to as Brahmavidaha, and Tesham Uttamam, the most superior amongst the knower of Brahman, is the Jivan Mukta, the Sthita Pragya that has been referred to in the Bhagavad Gita. Essentially, one whose mind is unafflicted by any of the turbulences of samsara because of the right knowledge that he is endowed with. And that Jivan Mukti status that he attains confers upon him the superiority amongst the knowers of Brahman. Atra Shrutayaha Purvam Udahrataha. So here Acharya is saying that the Shruti Pramana for this has already been provided before. And so whenever that happens in a commentary where it said it's already been provided before, it's up to us to go back and see where it is. And so, for example, on pages 6 and 7, in the commentary, Acharya says that only a person who has studied from a guru, uh, only such a knowledge will be Atma Vijnana, which will be capable of conferring moksha. And so he had quoted the Shruti Acharyavan Purusho Veda from the Chandogya, Acharya Dhaiva Vidya Vidita Sadashtam Prapate. And then later on he quoted the Mundaka Shruti Tad Vijnanartham Sa Gurumeva Vigachet Samitpanihi Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam. And then the Kathopanishad mantra Ananya Prokte Katiratra Nasti Aniyanyhatarkyam Anupramanat. So only a teaching that has been obtained from the Guru will lead to Atma Jnanam, which will then lead to moksha. So all these various shrutis he had quoted before. Tat samasadhanam cha tam aradhya gurum bhaktya prahvaha prashraya sevanaihi iti vakshamana ritya tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya iti gitokta ritya cha tasya swatma abhimukhi iti. The next step is to approach a guru, but even approaching a guru has to be done in a particular manner. One cannot simply just go there and start asking him questions. One has to approach him with an attitude of humility and reverence that is both mentally present, physically present, and present in the speech. And that is what is indicated. And Acharya is quoting from the Vivekachudamani itself. I think this is verse number 36. It will come later. This line, it says, Acharya then talks about how one must approach a guru. So it was said previously that one has to get this knowledge through a guru, and then to get that knowledge through the guru, we have to discuss the means or the methodology with which we approach a guru. We cannot simply rock up to that place and say, Guru, please give me this information. No, it will not work out, because even in our normal daily lives, when we are getting information or knowledge from something, we are seeking the time and effort of the teacher. Therefore, it is not a business transaction. Now, many of students today seem to think that we are paying fees, so we should get that knowledge from the teacher. It's a business transaction. No, that is not the right attitude at all. And that is what is said in the Vivekachudamani itself. Jagadguru Srimad Chandrasekhara Bharati Mahaswami quotes the 36th verse of this. Tam aradhya gurum bhaktya prahvaha prashraya sevanaihi. That is, one has to approach a guru with an attitude of reverence, bhakti, and politeness, reverence, devotion, and politeness that is expressed both physically by offering namaskaras, that's what is indicated by prahvaha, namaskaras, by bhakti, by devotion, prashraya, meaning politeness. So that devotion and reverence we're indicating through polite speech, sevanaihi, service. So by showing the reverence and the bhakti to the guru physically, mentally, speech, and in activity, we are displaying to the guru the extraordinary enthusiasm and the interest we have in serving the guru and getting the knowledge from him. Because we must remember that the knowledge that we are seeking is what is going to emancipate us from samsara. This is not something frivolous that we are seeking from the guru. And as was already said here, the guru is kritartha. He has attained what needs to be attained. And the only reason he is descending down from the state of paramartha to teach us is for our benefit, because he has nothing whatsoever to gain from teaching us. He is doing it for our benefit, and the attitude that we must have is that the individual from whom we are getting Atma Vidya is none other than Ishvara himself. When we approach the Shrotriya Brahmanishta Guru with such an attitude that this is verily Ishvara himself, and convey that via bhakti and reverence, then the knowledge that we get, we will realize the importance of the knowledge and we'll hold on to it, and such a knowledge will free us from the bondage of samsara. So Acharya says that samasadhanam, here the word samasadhya is there in the verse, samyak asadhya. That means one approaches the guru in the right manner. And the verse quoted is Tamaradhya Gurum Bhaktya Prahvaha Prashraya Sevanaihi iti Vakshamana Ritya. In the manner which is going to be revealed, one must approach a guru. And in the Gita also it is said Tadvidhi Pranipatena Pariprashnena Sevaya. That is, one approaches a guru, again, same idea. Pranipatena means with an attitude, with offering namaskara, both physical and mental. Pariprashnena, by asking the right questions at the right time. So one cannot simply go there and ask questions. When the opportunity presents itself and the guru says, okay, please ask the question, then we have to ask. Then we have to ask the question. Like we looked at the Indra Virochana story also. There, after several decades of service, then Brahma asks, okay, why have you come here? What do you want? So for the first 36 years, both Indra and Virochana offered service to Brahma. But Guru Seva only then went through all the Brahmacharya vratas, and only then Brahma asked. So all that is indication of pariprashnam, that is, we have to wait for the right opportunity and then ask the question. We cannot simply unpromptedly ask for Atma Vidya. Iti Gitokta Ritya cha tasya swatma abhimukhi. By approaching the Guru in this manner, one gains his favor and makes him ready to teach us Atma Vidya. Ato vimukte iti ashtama shlokasya yadbhishlokaihi vivritihi krita. So Acharya is saying that the 8th shloka, Ato vimukte prayateta vidvan sanyasta vahyartha sukha sprahasan. That shloka, the commentary for the shloka has been provided in the next verses, which is starting from verse number 9 to verse number 15. Those 7 verses contain the expanded commentary to that verse number 8. With that, we will pause the session now and we will take up the 16th verse and its commentary in the next session. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.